got? Ryan Clark, Steelers versus Seahawks. Who you got? Let me guess.
I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love what Mason Rudolph was able to do last week. Some adjustments that they made defensively, I felt like were able to allow them to turn the football over against Jake Browning. And just the way the offense started to work and operate, the RPOs in the run game, giving Mason Rudolph decisions to make at the line of scrimmage and watching him take the right one, I expect this team to play extremely well this week again.
Mike Tannenbaum, Packers, Vikings. Who you got?
I got the whole desk to myself. Where did all my friends go?
That's right.
Yeah, I also got the Packers, and here's why. They got the more experienced quarterback in Jordan Love. Jaron Hall is going to be starting for the Minnesota Vikings. As bad as this Packer defense has been, and it's been really inconsistent, Jaron Hall is young, he's small, and I just think quarterback play is going to carry the Packers to a really important win.
A little more experience at quarterback in the Dolphins-Ravens game. Dan Orlovsky, who you got in this one?
The Baltimore Ravens, this offense is clicking, and Lamar's playing at an unbelievable level. I don't know if there's a player, certainly quarterback, that is making more out of nothing than Lamar does on a consistent basis. It's not 2 or 3 times a game. It's like 8 or 9 plays a game.
That's real.
That he just, hey, this play was going to go for -3 or 4 yards, and it's going to be a 15 or 20-yard gain. And then this defense is just spectacular in Baltimore. They're the better and more complete team, and the way that they beat San Francisco last week, I cannot look past.
Let's take a look at that defense. Coordinator Mike McDonald out there doing some good work. How are they going to stop the Dolphins?
So, RC, the really interesting thing in the game for me is the Miami Dolphins basically run the same exact offense that the San Francisco 49ers do. And what I love is we talk about the 49ers and we talk about the Dolphins and we talk about their pre and at snap motions and how defenses have a plan for them. This clip is an example of how well prepared Baltimore is defensively and how they almost play defense like offenses do. So what you're going to get is McCaffrey going to go in motion. You're going to see Achane. You're going to see a Tyreek Hill guy for the Miami Dolphins to do this. Now watch how Baltimore defensively reacts to that motion. They obviously have a very clear plan of how they want to attack with some of their pressures.
So I want you to pause it right there. Look how smart Patrick Queen is here. Patrick Queen doesn't start in his movement until Christian McCaffrey moves. The reason you do that is you know Kyle Shanahan is going to have some sort of pre-snap motion that lets you know when the ball is going to be snapped. As he starts to move, Patrick Queen gets out of his disguise, so now he can hit it on the run.
And so then Patrick Queen becomes a pressure guy, and he's unaccounted for. Now what they do, these are what we call change pressures. Queen is going to be the guy that blitzes off the edge, and then they're going to take their backside defensive end and drop him. That's the change. They change roles, essentially, because then they get a pressure, but also the coverage still has numbers on the back.
Well, the coverage has numbers, but also you're expecting now that the line will slide this way. This guy is going to play seam flat. So if something goes vertical, he has it. Anything goes out, he has to take it. We have a 3-receiver hook player here, which is tied to Christian McCaffrey at the top. So now Roquan Smith will rotate to the top of the field.
And I love this. Like, this picture from an offensive perspective looks like almost what we call a cover 2. There's a flat defender that's out there. It almost looks like a half defender out there. And then you talked about Roquan flowing that way. That guy's the key. Kyle Hamilton is the key because his range and his ability to tackle. I get this ball out in space to an MVP candidate in Christian McCaffrey. I automatically think 10, 12 yards if you're Tyreek or Achane.
And the other piece is, too, though, how all of this is tied to Christian McCaffrey. Think about this. On the motion, we get Patrick Queen on the blitz. Because Christian McCaffrey is going to the flat, now Roquan Smith rotates to the new number 3, and Kyle Hamilton is able to get to the flat to make the tackle by using the sideline.
So what you're going to see is an offense that is going to look very similar, Miami to San Francisco, and you're going to watch Baltimore have a very clear plan of how they want to react to those motions. And if that isn't Achane or Tyreek Hill, I think Baltimore's the one team defensively that feels comfortable with that guy out in space versus those two dynamic players.
What's going to be very interesting about this week is we have two sides of the football that feels like they can dictate to the other. The Baltimore Ravens defensively feel like you have to react to them, and obviously the Miami Dolphins have done that the entire year. I think the thing that the San Francisco 49ers weren't ready for was that the Baltimore Ravens refused to be reactors.
Amen. Amen. They always had a plan for how they were going to handle motion, and that's the first time that we saw a defense do it in that capacity.
It's a big matchup, a lot on the line in this game for both teams. If the Ravens win the game, they will be the #1 seed in the AFC playoffs, regardless of anything that happens in Week 18. But If the Dolphins win, the Dolphins can clinch the 1 seed with a win in Week 18. If the Dolphins win, the Browns are still alive for the 1 seed. There's all kinds of stuff. So the Ravens, obviously, a lot to play for here with that 1 seed. So Dolphins-Ravens, one of the big games of the week. Here are our picks, which we never like to see this, which is unanimous.
You know
right?
what that means?
Yeah, the Dolphins looking good now on this. What do you think about this matchup, Mike T?
Well, I think these guys nailed it. I think it's all about Kyle Hamilton. He is a rising superstar. We saw against the 49ers. And RC, you know, great safety play. Post safety, can blitz, cover the slot. He could do it all. And to me, as Dan alluded to, he can play in space with the speed of the Dolphins, one of the very few safeties who can do that.
A little banged up. Kind of been in and out of practice the last couple of weeks, so hopefully for the Ravens' sake, he's on the field.
No, that's extremely important. He is that kind of Troy Polamalu Swiss Army knife for this team because he plays more so on the second level. He's not a guy that you want to be in the middle of the football field. You want to be able to use him in disguise, use him in the run game, bring him on the blitz. And he's such a great player in space, even though he's 6'4". He's vital to what they do, but I still believe it starts with Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen this week. If they can stop the run, make this team one-dimensional, that's when you can get to your blitz package and move two off the spot.
And I think Mike McDonald will have a very clear plan of how to handle some of the pass game that we know Miami wants to spread you out and then attack the middle of the field. That means you're trying to throw the ball at a Kyle Hamilton, a Roquan Smith, a Patrick Queen. Those guys are so good at getting to those areas and defending that stuff. I want to see how well Mike McDaniel, the head coach and play caller of Miami, kind of adjusts. The last thing I'd say is this. This is not an Odell Beckham, Nelson Aguilar, Zay Flowers if he plays game. For Baltimore in their pass game specifically, this has got to be an Isaiah Likely type of game because that's how you throw against Miami's defense.
We'll see. Big game. And on Miami's side, Jalen Waddle, one of their great receivers, has an ankle sprain. Looks like he may not be able to play in this